Hey everyone, this is Sana, and this is the first video from my YouTube tutorial series about UIKit elements for the Xcode storyboard for iOS app development. I will be taking you through the Apple documentation for each of the commonly used UIKit elements so that you're all aware of the features that they have. We'll also be discussing some other UI designing features that the storyboard offers. Today I wanted to discuss constraints, layout, and alignment before we moved on to the UIKit elements, because these are just topics that are needed for positioning basically any UIKit element on the screen. So let's get into it. Create a new Xcode project. We'll be making an iOS app. Next, I'll just name it tutorial app and save it where I want it. Alright, so now let's go into main.storyboard. Let me just make this full screen and remove this from the side so that I have more space to work. So we have a view controller scene open, and within that there's a view within which there's a safe area. So the way the view controller works is that this view, also referred to as super view, includes all of the screen, including these curved areas which might be covered by the status bar or this area at the bottom, and within which you have your safe area. The reason that the safe area exists is that when you're putting any element or any kind of content on your screen, you don't want it to be covered by the status bar or these curved regions. The safe area allows you to put it within the section of the screen which will never be covered. So now let's add a view to this screen. In this plus icon, you'll be able to select UI elements that you want to add. So let's just get a simple view. There you go. Drag that in here. And I'll change the background color of this view so that we're able to see how we're working with it. There are a couple ways that you could work with this. One is that you fix the height and the width of this view and select where you want to align it. In the middle, to the left, to the right, bottom, top. Or you could select the distance from the sides of the safe area that you want to put it in. Let's do the first one first. To fix the height and width and height, you have to go to this button right here at the bottom and click these two. Let me make it a bit smaller. Let's make it 100 and 100 square. Add two constraints, and now you'll see that there is an error being thrown over here. Let's select this and see what the problem is. Basically, auto layout is telling us that we have only specified the width and height, but we don't know where to put the box still. We only know the size of the box. In order to know where to put the box, we'll have to, let's say, center it. So in order to do that, we'll click align right here and click these two. 0, 0 means the center of the screen. So this should center it just fine. There you go. Let's try running this on an iPhone. Let's say iPhone 8 and run. Now that it's loaded, let's compare the app on iPhone 8 and iPhone 11. Now if you'll see, the size of the box is the same in both, but the distance from the edges is different. That's because our constraints is regarding centering it in the whole screen and fixing the width and the height. It doesn't fix the distance from the edges. In order to do that, let's delete the constraints that we've put so far. There we go. All our constraints are gone now. Let's say I want to put it at a distance of 20 points from all of the edges of the safe area. The way I'll do that is click add new constraints, 20, 20, 20, 20. Now, something that Xcode conveniently does for us is that it automatically selects the closest container that we have. Since safe area is the closest container, it automatically puts it as the safe area distance. Distance from the safe area. And that's done for all of them. Add 4 constraints. There we go. Let's run this on the iPhone 8 since we're already looking at an iPhone 11. Right here it tells you what you're looking at. Let's run the simulator for iPhone 8. That's our iPhone 8 and it's at a distance of 20 points from each of the edges. Over here there's a bit of extra distance, but that's because the status bar is also wide and the safe area does not include the status bar, which is why it looks like it's a greater distance. But suppose you were on dark mode, then the status bar would be black and you'd still have a distance of 20 points between the status bar and the view. Now let's try something different. Let's delete all the constraints again. And just for your information, you can also check these constraints from this button right here. Select the view and then go to this button. Here you have the constraints listed. A bit of explanation as to what these mean. Align trailing to safe area. Trailing means the right constraint, and leading means left. Again, bottom, down here, and then top right up here. Now let's say we have this view over here. I've removed all the constraints already and we want to add a label above it. Let's drag that and let's call it Hello World. There you go. Now let's say our requirement is that this lower box has to be 20 points from this right side, left side and bottom, and 20 points from this particular label. Then what we'll do is select the constraints for the right, left and bottom first, and that's sticking to the safe area automatically. Add 3 constraints. Now we know that we haven't put an upper constraint, which is why auto layout is telling us that there is an issue with the Y position. Let's do that now. For the hello world, I'm going to center it between the left and right. So we'll select align and horizontally in container, add 1 constraint. Now for the distance from the box, we'll select another constraint. Let's make it 20 and add. Now there's still an error because we haven't given the distance from the top up here. We've given the distance from this to the box, from the box to the hello world, but not from the top. So let's add that in as well. I'll just select the distance that's already there and add that constraint. Now you see the errors are gone and we have this ready to be done. Let's run it on an iPhone 8. And there we go. So that was the introduction to constraints, alignment, and layout. There are a lot of other things that you could do with constraints, alignment, and you could even select different constraints for different devices. We'll be discussing that in other videos, but that's it for today. Thank you for watching.